Live every day as if it were the last, because before you know it, time goes past and life's just not that long. Tell all you love that you love them so, because even if you do, they might not know, and one day we'll all be gone. Taste the wind, don't let it blow on by. Sing songs of love, let the music get you high. And when it's said and done, you'll know the sun will shine.
Why would a mother want her teenage son to beat up and bruise and bloody another male teenager as a boxer? Why would a father want his teenage son to beat up, bruise, and bloody another male teenager as a boxer? Why would a mother, why would a father want their teenage daughter to beat up, bruise, bloody another female teenager as a boxer? Why would a mother, why would a father cheer and celebrate their teenage son or daughter inflicting pain, causing injuries on another teenager? Why would a mother, why would a father be proud of their son or daughter for being a boxer? Why would a mother, why would a father be ashamed of their teenage son giving and receiving body pleasure in sex with a male teenage friend? Why would a mother, why would a father be ashamed of their teenage daughter giving and receiving body pleasure in sex with a teenage female friend? Why would a mother, why would a father damn their teenage son making love with his teenage buddy's body, making it feel good? Why would a mother, why would a father damn the teenage daughter making her teenage female friend's body feel good? Is this world the lunatic asylum of the universe? I damn all boxing for males or females. I damn all boxing for all ages, from youth through adults. I celebrate affectionate sexual pleasure wanted and enjoyed by male teenagers with each other and female teenagers with each other. One of my favorite health books is Los Viejos, which in English means the old ones. It was published in 1976. Los Viejos is about the very old people of Vilcabamba in the mountains of Ecuador, South America. Some of them were well over 100 years old. One man, 132, but still healthy, still alive and active, still loving life. These very old people in the mountains of Ecuador worked hard, almost till the day they died. They had never taken prescription drugs. They never had yearly physicals. They ate mainly simple foods from the earth, not crap from factories, not crap from fast food joints. They did not have much stuff. They had very little money, but they loved life. They treasured past romances. They looked forward to new romances. The old men still had strong desire for sex and romance. Some were married up to 80 years or more. And after one partner died, marrying someone else was common, up to 100 years old. They were never too old to want sex and romance. They were never too old to talk about sex and romance. Instead of watching make-believe stuff on a TV or reading a romance novel, they spoke from their own hearts about their own love lives with each other. Why would an old man feel shame and guilt for wanting sex and romance any more than a young man who wants sex and romance? Why would an old man consider himself a dirty old man for wanting sex and romance any more than a young man who wants sex and romance? To have a good old age, we need healthy bodies. To have a good old age, we need close friends from young to old. To have a good old age, we need many warm hugs. To have a good old age, we need a reason to get up in the morning. To have a good old age, we need passion, sex, romance, if possible. To have a good old age, we need to help others and not just be self-centered. To have a good old age, we need to take a strong stand for fairness and peace for all people on earth. To have a good old age, we need to enjoy nature, sunshine, gardening, long walks in nature. To have a good old age, we need just enough money to live simply, to eat only healthy food, and to have a good old age, we need a small, quiet place to live. The black South African prophet, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who died recently at age 90, said he would not worship a God who rejects men in love with men. The black South African prophet, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, said he would not worship a God who rejects women in love with women. Desmond Tutu said he would rather go to hell than go to a heaven that rejects gay, lesbian, bisexual, and trans people. Desmond Tutu said, together we can build a world that is free and equal. I do not believe in any hell after death. I seriously doubt any life after death. But I strongly compliment, I deeply thank black South African prophet Archbishop Desmond Tutu for his strong public stand for us gay, lesbian, bisexual, and trans people. A hero of conscience. I love living simply below the U.S. poverty level for me as a single person. I love living simply below the federal income taxable level. I enjoy the freedom of paying no federal income tax for the United States to murder people in other nations. And by living below the federal income taxable level, as I've done for many years, I have no hassles, no threats from the U.S. government about why I do not pay federal income tax. I enjoy the freedom of far less bills by living simply. The freedom of having more time for long walks, for gardening, for deep conversations in person or by phone or in letters. I enjoy the freedom of far less pressure than people who have all kinds of bills and mortgages and debts. I enjoy the freedom of sunbathing, of doing this TV and YouTube program totally free. I enjoy the freedom of going to worthwhile free or cheap events, to the flea market, to Old Town here in Albuquerque. Living simply, I have more freedom to speak, to write, to live my conscience with less crap bought. So I need less money. And so if I were still employed, but I'm not employed, I receive retirement Social Security. But if I were still employed and living simply, I would have less fear of losing a job because of taking a strong public stand on my many controversial concerns. Many males connect deeply with each other as kids. Many males connect deeply with each other later in the nation's most violent gang, the U.S. military. And many males never again are that emotionally close to other males. And they miss that connection with other males. They miss it greatly. And growing up on the farm back in Illinois with no brothers near my age, I have one brother nearly 11 years older than I first felt really close to many young males, mostly Latinos, in Sterling, Illinois, where I was a young, sincere Christian preacher. Later, in Arizona, in the small town of Surprise, where I worked with youth, many of whose parents came from Mexico and worked in the fields harvesting, and then in Albuquerque. I had missed out on that close bonding that many males feel as kids with each other. The United States used white phosphorus, napalm, and other chemical poisons for almost 10 years to injure, to murder young and old people in Vietnam, people of all ages, from babies to the very old. The United States sprayed 19 million gallons of the deadly poison Agent Orange on over 3,000 villages in Vietnam. Where do you hear that? Now, in the newspapers or in the media. The massive atrocities that this government perpetrated against the people of Vietnam. U.S. companies, Dow, Monsanto, Uniroyal, made many millions of dollars off Agent Orange. Agent Orange tortured, sickened, killed our sisters and brothers in Vietnam, and also many U.S. soldiers who got exposed to it. The United States dropped 8 million tons of bombs in the Vietnam War. That's 3 times what the United States, England, Japan, Nazi Germany, and other nations dropped in World War II. Again, the United States dropped 3 times what the United States, the United States dropped 3 times what of bombs on Vietnam, what the United States, England, Japan, Nazi Germany, and other nations dropped in World War II. The 8 million tons of U.S. bombs were equal to the firepower, the murder power, of 640 of the bombs that the U.S. dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. 640 of the bomb that U.S. dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. 3 to 5 million people were murdered just in Vietnam in that war. Mostly civilians, not soldiers. And soldiers are human too. Ask their loved ones in Vietnam and in the United States. Many more people the U.S. murdered in Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, countries next to Vietnam. The United States government emphasized counting the bodies, the body count that the U.S. murdered. Talk about the evil of Nazis. The United States government told U.S. soldiers, shoot anything that moves. Do we give a damn? Do we know the history? Do we wonder why millions all over the world today fear and hate this government more than they hate and fear any other government? And don't get me wrong, China, Russia, many, many other nations commit horrible atrocities. But sadly, as Martin Luther King Jr. said exactly 1 year before he was assassinated, the greatest purveyor, he didn't say the only purveyor, but he said the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today is my own government. Almost 21 years ago, April 7th, 2001, was the last time I rode in any car. I've not owned a car for 42 years. I damn wars for oil. I damn fracking for oil. Cars cause catastrophic climate chaos. Cars poison the air. Highways, streets, parking lots, garages smother millions of acres of fertile soil needed for growing food and trees, especially as the world population keeps ballooning, now approaching 8 billion people. We need food to eat, and we need the fertile soil to grow it. And instead, the fertile soil is being smothered rapidly by the cement highways, parking lots, garages, streets. And we need that fertile soil for trees because trees soak up the greenhouse gas, carbon dioxide, and trees provide needed oxygen for us to breathe, for us to flourish. I save much money not having a car. No car repairs, no parking tickets, no traffic tickets, no car vandalism, no flat tires, no car insurance, no monthly payments, no car theft. Car crashes injure and kill millions worldwide over the decades. Most people worldwide cannot afford to own a car. But imagine, folks, how much sicker the environment would be and how much worse the climate crisis would be if all people old enough on Earth drove cars like most people in this country. And sadly, many people in this country are addicted to driving their cars as much as their dollars and their time allow. No strong conscience against hogging the world's resources, poisoning the planet for future generations. Sadly, most drivers in this country regard this insane, deadly addiction to driving cars and to flying in planes as their absolute right, far more important than the lives and homelands of Iraqis, Afghans, Libyans, Colombians, Nigerians, Ecuadorians destroyed in the U.S. empire's evil pursuit of oil. I would not keep a car, the most luxurious car in this city, if it were given to me free. I would quickly sell it and use the money for more important things. I walk mostly. I'm glad I'm able to walk. It's healthier for my body, healthier for Mother Earth. I also ride the city bus. If we're physically able, walking is best. Bicycles are second, but I never learned to ride a bicycle. My brother tried to teach me, and I never learned. And then come trains and buses and ships. And worst of all, for our health and the environment, are cars and planes. I've ridden in no plane for many, many years, and I aim never to do so the rest of my life. Much walking strengthens our bones, our heart. Much walking prevents diabetes. Much walking clears our mind, especially out in nature on a beautiful day. Much walking stimulates our blood circulation. Our legs can be great doctors. I love to walk. I pledge never to own a car the rest of my life. As a worldwide human family, we stand dangerously on the edge of a cliff as far as human life and other life surviving on this earth. The earth will survive as a planet. The question is, will humans survive? And will plants and animals survive? Progress means stepping backward. If you're on the edge of a cliff, we can wake up. We can change. If we give a damn for the people who will suffer after we're dead and gone, suffer from the climate crisis. Why do many men hate and fear homosexuality? Hatred for sex and romance between males is drilled into many boys from early childhood, sometimes by their fathers or uncles or grandfathers, or sometimes by the mothers. Many 10 or 12 or 14-year-old boys would rather be called liar. They would rather be called fool. Many 10 or 12 or 14-year-old boys would rather be called thief or stupid. Many 10 or 12 or 14-year-old boys would rather be called lazy or son of a bitch than to be called fag or hoto. Sadly, many men are afraid to admit their attraction to men, especially if they also strongly love and are attracted to their wives or girlfriends. They fear losing sex and romance with the women they love if those women find out their attraction also for men. Now, for some women, it's not a big deal. But for a lot of women, it is a big deal. If their husband or boyfriend is bisexual. Some men suffered abuse as kids from men who forced sex upon them when they did not want it. Some men, as adults, suffer pestering and pressure for sex from men who refuse to take no for an answer. Some straight men are jealous of gay and bisexuals because of easier access to sex partners. Because many men were taught you're more of a man if you're a stud. And sadly, many women were taught they're sluts or less of a woman if they have sex with many men. The number one cause of death in New Mexico for youth is guns. Most deaths by guns in the United States are suicides. I hate guns. I've never owned a gun, and I never will. A worldwide study in 195 nations found there is no safe level of drinking booze. Nada. Zero. None. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation paid for that study. Booze has messed up. Booze has cut short the lives of many dear friends of mine. I drink no booze, not a drop. Booze is slow poison to every cell of our body. Slow poison. It ain't going to kill you usually overnight unless you drink huge amounts. Booze can cause heart disease, cancer, car crashes, drowning, stabbings, shootings, beatings. Booze can cause suicides, house fires, freezing to death, brain damage, depression. Booze can cause high blood pressure, strokes, liver damage. Booze can cause stomach ulcers, blood vessel disorders, addiction, men not able to get good hard-ons, and booze can cause death. Many people begin as social drinkers, and they say, oh, I can handle my booze, it's no big deal. But many of them, not all, become lonely, sick alcoholics. Millions on booze say and they do things that, including sexual assault and murder, they later terribly regret and would give the world if they could take back those moments of booze-induced insanity. Now that recreational marijuana is legal in New Mexico for persons 21 and over, I would greatly prefer my friends on booze switch completely to only homegrown, organic marijuana if they're going to use something, if they're going to take something. How much better organic, homegrown marijuana than the damn booze? Marijuana can help over 40 serious health problems. But never buy marijuana from Mexico. The drug cartels there have tortured and murdered many thousands of people. I strongly recommend the book in our city library entitled Firewater: How Alcohol is Killing My People and Yours, by Cree Indian Harold Johnson, the author, about the awful curse of booze, especially among his Cree people in Canada. I know of no other book where an Indian person speaks so frankly, so forcefully about the evil of booze and the massive suffering it causes and what to do about it. Firewater by Harold Johnson: How Alcohol is Killing My People and Yours. Find it in our local library. I'm glad I own no car, no refrigerator, no television, no cooking stove. I'm glad I own no gun, no washer dryer. I wash my clothes in a 5-gallon pail and I hang them up to dry in the sunshine. I put the wash water on my garden. I'm glad I own no computer, no big house, no smartphone, no business suit, no charge account. I do not need them. I do not need any of those. So why have them? I'm glad I consume no booze, no cigarettes, no junk food. I'm glad I consume no prescription drugs, no street drugs, no meat, no dairy, no cooked food. I do not travel in airplanes, and freedom for me is not having and not wanting these things. I would not keep them if you give them to me free. Now, if you have a television, if you have a smartphone, if you have a computer, I thank you for watching my program. But if you get rid of the television, computer, smartphone, in order to live more simply and to have more time for other good things, I compliment you. I have gone to no medical doctor, no barber for many years. I don't know if I've ever had a complete physical in my whole life. I buy nothing at McDonald's, nothing at Walmart, nothing on Amazon. I shop at thrift stores, yard sales, growers' markets, flea market. I write down every penny I aim to since the year 2000, every penny I spend every day on anything, and that added up. It's a wonderful discipline because much of the money most people in this country spend is for crap nobody needs, and then often cry about all their bills. I have no right to much more than I need, while many millions all over this world suffer cold and hunger and no home, far less than what they need. I enjoy living simply. I enjoy it on enough, bastante, just enough. Some straight, some gay, some bisexual men and women are able to be openly and honestly in love with more than one person at the same time. I am able to be openly and honestly in love with more than one man at the same time. We teach children to share toys. We teach children to share friends. We teach children to share food. How selfish, how cruel the child who demands that his child friend have no other friends, no other playmates. How selfish, how cruel. We adults can learn to share our lovers with others. We enjoy a variety of flowers. We enjoy a variety of fruit. We enjoy a variety of vegetables, of colors, of books, of songs. And many of us also enjoy a variety of lovers. A loving parent, a loving father, a loving mother can have a deep, special bond with each one of several children. Can someone be a faithful parent only if he or she has and loves just one child? Crazy. I refuse to let any man cage me or fence me in romantically, so I have no right to cage him or fence him in romantically. And every man I've been in love with has taught me in helping me become a wiser, better lover and person. And all romantic relationships face hurdles, bumps, conflicts. So why put all our eggs into one basket? Invest our hearts into more than one lover and do it honestly, openly, with all people involved. So if one lover backs out, moves away, dies, we may feel less desperate, less abandoned, less devastated, and more able to cope in our sad loss. I do not own any man, no matter how deeply I'm in love with him. Good romance is not slavery. I cannot make any man fall in love with me. I cannot make any man stay in love with me. And I'm a fool if I try to force him. Hell no to cover-ups and lies. Hell no to cheating, double standards. Hell no to insane jealousy. Yes to deep intimacy. Yes to sexual pleasure shared generously with more than one person. When would it be right for an enemy nation to murder our families? If never, how can it be right for the United States to murder their moms, their dads, their kids? The U.S. military has murdered far more moms and dads and kids than all the drug dealers, the street gangs, the mafia combined. I oppose all war, and 53 years ago, I began 2 years of non-military community service under the draft, first in Arizona, then in Albuquerque. And that's how I first came to Albuquerque in June 1970, almost 52 years ago. I refused to go murder people in Vietnam. And so for me to pay federal income tax, to train and equip largely black people, brown people, Native American people, and lower income white people to become professional hired killers, to murder on command with no conscience, would be more evil than being a soldier myself. And almost half of federal income tax goes for U.S. wars, past, present, future. Now imagine if almost half of our local sales tax dollars burned homes on our street. Imagine if almost half of our local sales tax dollars murdered families on our street. Would we pay? Our neighbors across the ocean less human, less precious than neighbors on our street? I have paid no federal income tax, not one damn bloody penny, for 43 years. All wars, slaughter babies, moms, dads. If this nation stopped stealing and hogging the world's resources, if this nation stopped waging wars and supporting other nations' wars with weapons and money and military training, the United States would have far less enemies in this world. Far less enemies. At least 1/3 of global greenhouse gas emissions are caused by animal agriculture, growing cattle, hogs, chickens, so people eat meat and dairy. It takes many times as much land to feed a meat eater as it does to feed someone who eats only plants, seeds, vegetables, fruit, seeds, nuts, so on. Because people who eat plants consume the crops directly instead of funneling them through animals first. In the United States, 56 million acres of land used to grow feed for animals, while only 4 million acres are producing plants for us humans to eat. More than 90% of the Amazon rainforest, which are one of the major lungs of our planet to produce oxygen that we need to breathe, to live, to flourish. More than 90% of the Amazon rainforest land cleared since 1970 is used for grazing livestock. Animal agriculture requires an enormous amount of water for the animals to drink directly and in order to grow the crops for them to eat, all just to produce meat and dairy. By eating only plant foods, a person can save approximately over 200,000 gallons of water a year by eating only plant foods, no meat, no dairy. I can save over 200,000 gallons of water a year. It takes more than 11 times as much fossil fuel to produce protein from animal sources as it does to produce the same amount of protein from grain. Animals raised for food in the United States produce many times more shit than the entire human population of this country. Many times more shit. And because there's no animal sewage processing plants, it is most often stored in waste lagoons that stink like hell if you live nearby, that can be seen in aerial views of factory farms or is sprayed over fields. Runoff from those factory farms of that shit from all those animals is one of the leading reasons why our rivers and our lakes are poisoned. Coastal fish farms release massive amounts of shit, antibiotics, parasites, non-native fish into lakes and streams and oceans. Chickens, pigs, turkeys, fish, cows are intelligent social animals who can suffer and feel pain and fear just as we can, just as our pet dogs and cats can. And billions of animals are imprisoned or mutilated, violently killed by the U.S. meat, dairy, and egg industries every year. The United Nations said raising animals for food is one of the top 2 or 3 most significant contributors to the most serious environmental problems at every scale, from local to global. I would not trade speaking and writing and living my conscience for any high-paying job pressuring me to shut up my convictions. I would not trade living below the federal income taxable level to refuse to pay for war for all the money in this world. I would not trade mostly walking and often riding the bus for owning a luxury car, even if given to me free. I would not trade sunbathing many days, especially in winter, on my backyard small private Riviera beach. I wouldn't trade that for a free trip anywhere on earth. I would not trade my main food every day, my homemade raw smoothies with many healthy ingredients. My main smoothie is about 26 ingredients. I wouldn't trade them for the highest priced restaurant meals. I would not trade going to bed most nights between 9 and 10 and getting up at 6 in the morning for late night parties and for getting up late. I would not trade my food and flower garden for fancy furniture in any mall. I would not trade my 9.5 by 12-foot rented one-room home with 6 windows of marvelous sunshine for living free in a huge mansion. I would not trade the precious wisdom many people have taught me, the precious wisdom that I've learned from them in these 76 years. I would not trade living simply and healthy and compassionately for all the diamonds in this world. I very much want to be reunited with all my loved ones in a much better life and place after death, but I strongly doubt that happens. No matter how much we want something, that does not make it true. For thousands of years, many people all over the world believed their rain dances or their prayers brought rain. And some people now believe their prayers will even help them find a parking space. Often religion of whatever brand, not just Christianity, is feel-good, make-believe bullshit for adults. Magical thinking that makes no sense. I aim to keep making new friends, young friends, until the day I die. I want to always treasure my old friends of whatever age, both living and dead. But if we live to be old, and if we did not keep making new friends, younger friends, we may end up friendship bankrupt. My dear friend Bob in Illinois, who was so good to me, and his wife Alberta too, who died years before Bob, and he missed her greatly. He died at 94. He had known many people in his business in that town. He had friends, but most died before him. And in one of his last letters to me, Bob wrote, "To my one and only friend." How sad. I learned from Bob not to become friendship bankrupt. Keep making new friends, young friends, friends of all ages, until the day we die. Most video games are violent. They poison the mind. Evil. I play no video games. I have far more interesting things to do with my time. Many old people who are sick wish they had taken care of their health when they were young, eating healthy, exercising, not boozing, not smoking, getting enough sleep. Sadly, for millions, too soon old, too late smart. Most disease can be prevented. Most hospital beds would be empty if we all got serious about living, eating, exercising, sleeping healthy. What good are lots of money and property if our body is very sick? What good are lots of money and property if we have not kept in touch with our living old friends, and if we have not kept making new friends? What good are lots of money and property if we fear people want us just because of our money? What good are lots of money and property if we do not know who are really our friends if tomorrow we lost all of our money? I do not want much more money, much more stuff than what I have. I have enough. I would not trade places with any millionaire or billionaire. I'd be ashamed as hell to live like that. How well can we teach kids to live fairly with their brothers and sisters in our families if we adults have and buy far more than what we need? If we adults in our world family of approaching 8 billion sisters and brothers do not live fairly? Some people wonder, are you a hippie? Speaking to me. Well, it all depends. If being a hippie means someone who is undependable, someone who's lazy, someone who's strung out on LSD, no, hell no, I am not a hippie. But if you mean someone against war, if you mean someone who enjoys living simply, if you mean someone who enjoys being naked when warm enough and not in danger of being arrested, if you mean someone who likes bright colors, if you mean someone who likes long hair on men, if you mean someone who enjoys sex with more than one person, yes, oh yes, I am a hippie, and I'm proud to be one. Good night.
Sing songs of love, let the music get you high, and when it's said and done, you'll know the sun will shine on. And when it's said